Hello and welcome back to the ministry, and we're on part 6 of this content. And I left off where I was talking about there are going to be people that are going to position themselves in your way. So by them positioning themselves in your way, they're assuming that they can stop what God has put in you in order to prevent you from being able to move forward in what it is that God has told you that you're supposed to go there and do. Because the enemy knows that if he can't stop, and there are literally, and it's funny, it was a video I just clicked on while I was waiting for the last video to upload. And I was watching it on my computer, and the woman was talking about that there are literally, just like I said, divinely designed people that are sent as destiny destroyers, that are literally high-ranking people that were positioned there to stop you, stop your marriage, to stop your husband, to stop what it is that you're putting your hands to. And I feel like I'm repeating myself. But these are monitors. They have been sent forth in order to plant seeds. We kind of went over that already. So you need to begin to ask the right questions. And be cautious of these people, because this is what I wanted to discuss with you. You need to be aware of, no matter what place you're going into. You're going into a marriage, so you need to understand that your God-ordained spouse's family, and they also need to understand that your family, there's going to be somebody that's in a position to be an authority figure that has a little bit of authority over you. For you, it could be a parent, a sibling, or somebody that is highly respected by your spouse that you just can't talk to any kind of way. Now, honorably, you're not going to talk to anybody any kind of way because you're a child of God. But because if you can discern certain things, you have to be able to play your position, Esther, recognizing Haman and his minions in these places. It may be in your God-ordained spouse's work environment. You go into his work environment, you might find that there is another person that stands above your God-ordained spouse. And even if they don't stand there, they desire to have that position. It may be a place that you're called to work with your spouse. Maybe it's charitable work. And the people that are in positions in those charitable places, there are people that do not like him or you. And they have positioned themselves as an authority figure to block you from being able to move forward, but so far in that thing that you're putting your hands to. Because what the enemy does is he sees how far this thing can go. And when he notices a particular pacing of that thing, he blocks. It's like, oh, that's moving a little bit too fast. I'm going to need to get ahead of that and stop it at the pass. And then you'll find that you'll start to lose momentum. Maybe you're not getting as many seeds in that thing. Maybe you're not getting as much funding in that thing. Maybe you are losing backers and you're like, wait, guess what? You got to go give more into ministries. Or into the ministries you know you're called to give into. That's one thing, and it's funny, I was listening to Dr. Jolene Whitaker, and every time she tries to start talking about this thing, her audio goes out. Strategically, I know it's strategic. It's like, how is it that her video camera went out right then when she was trying to express the very thing that you needed to do in relation to finance, in relation to giving specifically? I notice that happens to me. I notice that happens to a lot of people. When you start talking about finance, it seems that there's some form of a deterrent that don't like the fact that you're talking about this thing, especially when you go live talking about it. It's warfare. You're going to have to keep starting the broadcast with something, especially when you're giving good points There's a formula that I always talk about. Every time I do it, for some reason that audio goes missing. See, the same thing happened to Jolynn Whitaker. She did an entire course on this stuff, and it came against her. The enemy does not want you to have financial solvency, especially in your marriage, because you can do and maneuver. Money is power in this world. The love of money is evil, but money is a commodity that's necessary in order to get things done. People don't allow you to live in your house unless you're paying the bills, unless you bought that thing cash and you no longer have a mortgage on that thing. But still, you got to pay property tax. Money is needed. Money is necessary. And you need to know how to operate within that. And there are people that are positioning themselves, if they see that you got too much of it. Remember that old P. Diddy song? More money, more problems. The more money you have, there are enemies from higher places and higher positions that are going to target you. For every level up that you have financially, they're going to target you even more because they're going to use a higher. It's one of those what the young woman was talking about. There's going to be bigger bosses and different kinds of demons for some reasons. And this right here. This right here is the whole reason I did this series. This right here. Recently, the lottery has gone up to over $1 billion. And a lot of people have been sowing their money into that. You want me to be honest? I almost did the same thing. I did. But the Lord didn't allow me to do it. And when He didn't allow me to do it, He brought me this revelation. This is how I'm sitting here right now, why I'm giving you this. Because what it is if you go from 0 to $800 million, understand that the demon that you are facing when you ain't got nothing is different from the demon you're going to face at $800 million after taxes. Because there's going to be a very specific gatekeeper. Ever notice that something weird always happens to the people that win the lottery? There's only a handful of Christians that won the lottery and they doing good. It's either the ones that didn't tell you. The one that did say it, she won, I think it was like $127 million. And she used that, but it was a low amount in the millions. There was another woman that won, but I don't know how much she won, but whatever amount that she did win, when I tell you they killed her, and she was a Christian. She was telling her testimony online, and when she won it, within days of that, she was killed in her home. It was another case where there's a homeless woman. She won $900 some odd million. You know, the first person to sue her was her church. Her church sued her. It is the love of money. It's a pastor I listen to, and he makes the point of saying that the children of God have a higher stake in the way that the economy moves. For the amount of money that goes into these churches, goes into these offerings, and goes into society as a whole. He was making the point of saying that if there was an actual network of Christian businesses, it literally would pull from the amount of money that society can make. And it's the truth. It is. Because if you separate your godly businesses from the ones that were built by mammon, understanding these things, you thereby take money out of the natural rotation. Look at what happened during the Pandora's box. Remember when they were trying to give everybody all of these stimulus packages? They gave them the stimulus packages, but a lot of people were using it to pay off their bills. And a bunch of people, celebrities, and even high level politicians that were high ranking were complaining on CNN and other places saying that money was supposed to be used to further the shopping and the retail industry. That's one of those. People ain't giving a dang about the retail industry. They were too busy trying to feed their home, feed their children, and make sure that they had savings and assets to make sure that they didn't know how long that thing was going to go. Remember, at first, it was only supposed to be a 2-month shutdown. How long did it last? It was longer than 2 months, that's for sure. And their intent was for it to last way longer than that. But they wanted to control where you purchased, who you shopped with. Remember, there were only a few stores that remained open during that period of time. And they were the ones that were making bank. Amazon, Target, Walmart. I think Whole Foods, because Whole Foods owned by Amazon, and it was some other places. I know because I used to go there. Yeah, there were only a few places that you could go that were not closed during that time frame. They made bank off of that. But see, that was an illegal transfer of wealth, and God's going to turn it back around for the children of God. There is a coming supernatural wealth transfer for his children. But the enemy is desperately trying to seek out the direction of where it's coming from. But it's coming in the midst of the marriages. Because when you come out 2 by 2, this is why the enemy is trying to bring and breed doubt, fear, limitations, limited thinking, limited revelation, and he's trying to limit what you can do in order for you to grow. This is why they're coming against the seed into the church, because the constant perpetual seeding into your church creates a spiritual open door that allows for you to be able to consistently remain making money, because you're covering yourself on the back end, and then that money is multiplying to create a bumper crop harvest, a 30, 60, 100-fold bumper crop harvest for the seeds in which you sow. And then you can pull on those seeds. And then on top of that, if money's been stolen from you, in the money that you've sown, you can pull on the money that was stolen and use scripture such as Proverbs 6:31. The enemy got caught stealing, had to pay back 7-fold everything he stole. And 7-fold is not 7 times 7. 7-fold is 7 times 7 times 7 of whatever that amount was that was stolen. Hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Think about that multiplied by 7 times 7 times 7. I always tell people, calculate that, please. I need you to go find every element of money that you think that was stolen from you as a Christian and go calculate that. And then I calculate the 30-fold, the 60-fold, and the 100-fold on top of that. Because I want double for all my trouble, especially if you done been through some stuff. You get to ask for it. And you have perfect right to receive it, because why? It was stolen from you. And then you can say on top of that, it's like, I can receive this because it's going right back into the ministry. And God knows if you're a sower. I know me, I'm a sower. I will sow into people. And this is why the enemy will sit on your finances to prevent you from being, I'm telling you, the enemy has sat on my finances so bad. Sometimes I'm lucky to even have $2. Because he knows if I got $10 or enough to go on a bank card, the first thing I'm going to do is sow into a ministry. So I usually end up having to give it to a homeless person, if I can find one. See how the enemy works? And then if I have a physical church building that I can go into, I take and put change in there. And there's a trick that a minister gave, and it blessed me. He said that he needed to sow, but he didn't have enough for something. He said he stopped on the side of the road and he put actual change into the ground of a plant with roots, and he covered it up and he prayed over it. He said within a period of time, that whatever he seeded back in came back to him. I think it was 25 cents. It came back to him as $250, which he sold off of that. You understand what I'm saying? And it happened to me too. Recently, what I put in, I used to do that all the time. And I remember one time I ended up finding $100. Didn't know where it came from. It was just laying there. I was like, my God. Immediately, I started sowing off of that money. Your seeds will produce fruit. And you got to seed off the money that you get in your business, your family, your ministry, all of this. Because if you're not seeding, it's not going to grow. And the enemy wants to clog up. Just like he wanted to clog up the wells for Isaac, he wants to clog up your finances, because he knows that as a child of God, if you are moving in the direction that God needs you to move in, that means you're going to become a whole problem for hell. You're going to start building businesses that are going to bring in kingdom wealth and kingdom money. You're going to start bringing in finances of kingdom wealth and kingdom money. You're going to start balancing and helping other people get out of financial issues with kingdom wealth and kingdom money. What we out here doing. And then you're going to help others increase. You're going to make disciples of men. You're going to face the problems that are issues. You're going to pray about it. And you're going to come up with solutions. And the enemy is definitely afraid of that. So we got to block you up. And the biggest attack is to come against your finances. And a lot of you, the reason that you ain't married yet is because there is a multiple level blessing that comes from your marriage. Some of you are meant to marry high caliber men and or women. And in marrying that individual, your finances is going to get taken care of, Ruth. Your living situation is going to get taken care of. Because a lot of God's children were displaced in the process of waiting for their marriages. And some of them were sent home to family. Some of them were sent into situation. I seen, there was a scenario that the woman I knew, she dealt with living in a car. There's some even right now. I could name them if I wanted to. All of them standing for marriages. All of them. One I saw, she entered her marriage and ended up having to go through a level of warfare in getting stable with her spouse. They were traveling here, they were traveling there, they were traveling there. Right now, I believe she's secure in the location that she's in. So, with that being said, God is putting you in a place in order to bless you, in order for you to be able to achieve, because wealthy people run towards problems. Some wealthy people are running towards the problem because they want to exacerbate the problem. There are other wealthy people that are running towards the problem in order to create the solution for that problem. Be the solution. They want to stop the situation there in order to take and separate from that. But by understanding that the devil is busy, if you can see through what is happening, whatever that issue is, and recognize the problem within it, you will be able to discern, solve each step, create a solution, and potentially prevent a secondary attack that can come off or be more, or what's the word I'm looking for? It's better aligned. Meaning, whatever the attack was, you can position yourself to prevent from receiving that attack, but also create a solution for the attack because you saw it ahead of time. So, but the enemy wants to take from you from behind you. He wants to come up behind you, see the issue. Remember, like I said, with that movie Mindhunters, the person wanted to kill them, instinctively using their own issues against them. Julian Whitaker and Bold for Christ did, both of these people talk about this. The enemy is coming to steal the baby. Your God-ordained marriage, at its infancy, the enemy wants to destroy it. Because if he can destroy it and throw darts at it in its infancy, he can destroy it. That's why when you come into the marriage, what God is going to do is he's going to isolate you and your spouse so that you can have a battle plan. The enemy don't want this. The enemy don't want this. This is why he fight y'all. The Lord will allow for you to have a season where y'all will be lined up in alignment with one another. But you are going to have to get your battle strategies together, or else when the enemy starts sending distractions, and his name is, and her name is, and they look real good, and some of them are people that are going to look like they're supposed to be there. Remember what I just said. Some of them are going to be family members. They're dominating people in your spouse's family. They're dominating people in high-powered positions in the places that your spouse works. Some of them are places that, in relation to things that you're going to put your hands to in philanthropy or whatever it is. Some of them is in the places in which you're supposed to create businesses. Remember Judas? They will stand next to you but desire to have your position. All because they want to. These are enemies that are divinely designed, demonically, to hinder you. And you got to be able to pick these people out quickly get rid of them. Because the enemy, if they sit there too long, they're going to siphon and destroy what it is that you're supposed to be building. The baby in its infancy. The minister is working on her own brand new ministry building, and she and her husband got a little bit lax, and they kept trying to leave and go away from it. It's just like, oh, they're working, they getting stuff done. We're gonna go over there. And the Lord said, you better take your behind back and go back to where the baby is. The baby, your business, your ministry, what God has officially given you and your spouse to put your hands to, what he's showing you the structure of that thing needs to be, and he's trying to distract you from putting your hands to it. Some of you, he's trying to distract either you or your partner from putting your hands to it completely. Maybe you're the focused one, but the enemy's throwing all kinds of grenades at your partner because they're not as focused. Or they are focused, but The enemy knows that if they figure out how to get what it is God is just trying to get them to get their hands to fully, oh hell no. So he's attacking that in the little things. A minister I follow right now, she was talking about a lot of people are summiting to Israel right now. My old church used to go there all the time. This minister, Lady Jeremiah, she's in Israel right now. Her trip actually overlapped the trip Bold for Christ went to Israel for, because she went there for work, because her job is out there. Their main headquarters is out there. She does everything from home in Texas. But she got the opportunity to go to Israel, so she was out there. And when I tell you that they went through a ringer of confusion just trying to get to Israel on both cases, nearly missed their flight, storms came in, this came that, this, and it was ridiculous. The enemy is always going to try to stop you or hinder you from making progress. That's how you know you're close. For some of you, the progression is you're right there. For some of you, it's any day now. For some of you, when I tell you I am sensing warfare, but it's not on me. I know where it is, and I'm fighting it in the spirit because I know. And every kingdom, spouse, couple, God ordained marriage, anytime you're dealing with that, they don't attack the strongest prayer person, because that would be redundant. You can already see them a mile away. They're gonna attack the one that don't know. That means you gotta cover that person even more. If you know who that person is, guess what? They're under attack. Because the devil does not want that to come to pass. And I thank God for Megan Michelle, because Megan Michelle shows a perspective of what it looks like when a person has been under attack. If they're the weaker person or have gone through a level of weakness, what it looks like going in and out of certain industries. How heavy that attack looks. What it looks like going in and out. The types of stuff that goes on in the body when you're going in and out of these spaces. The types of warfare, and it's like some of it is baby attacks. Other places it's like intensity. I'm gonna tell you, I lived in New York for 4 years. When I tell you the warfare that I went through of intensity in New York, in comparison to being in my hometown, I feel the warfare in my hometown. I just don't feel it to the capacity I felt it in New York. It's like feeling something barely touch you in comparison to something that wanted to take a log and punch you in the gut. That's what you were dealing with in New York. It wanted to punch you in the gut. So when I tell you that it's trying to steal the baby, it absolutely is trying to steal the baby. It wants to tarnish your reputation. We already talked about that. We already talked about the way that they try to dominate. I never did find that. I'm going to see if I can find it when I split off of this broadcast, because I'm about to leave this broadcast. I need to find that quote she had from a couple of days ago about the two types of attacks. The enemy will naturally try to place distance between you and that thing that you are called to walk into, to do everything to place barriers between you and that thing in the natural. So what he will do is he understands that he has no power, but he can block you if you stop moving forward. So he keeps barrier after barrier by isolating you, preventing you from going to get help, by mentally trying to prevent you from moving forward by creating word curses and things that oppress your mind and make you think that you shouldn't even ask for the help that you need, and you're thinking of where you need to get the help from. I literally was just listening to something, and they were talking about the fact that the enemy will try to get you to not get up because you getting up is the very thing that's necessary in order for you to move. Remember in the deja vu review, I talked about the scripture. Is it Mark 10:50? I think it was I think it was Mark 10:50 or it was was it Mark 8:30? Or Isaiah 8:30? It was the 8:30 scripture. It was the other one. But it was a scripture was talking about that the person needed to spring up, get up and move. In them getting up and move, that there was going to be momentum that was created. You had to move. But that's what the enemy wants to try to stop you from doing. To try and prevent you or have you get lax in a spiritual position. Some of us, we're in a season or have been in seasons where we had to be war. And God's trying to say, I need you to rest in this season. I am going to bring you in a season of rest of where I'm taking you, but don't get too comfortable in the resting that I am bringing you into, because when I bring you into the blessing, there is going to be enemies that are watching you in your rest. And you need to prepare for when those attacks come. You need to be spiritually wise and discerning, and you need to figure out or know how to fight in that place. When bait is placed in front of you, you need to know that's bait. I need not to take that bait. Perfect example, dreaming of food. When you dream of food, the enemy is trying to get you to take a covenant with him. But sometimes God is trying to show you that he's about to bless you plentifully. But you need to know the difference between an enemy attack trying to get you to come into covenant with something and or try to make you naturally ill, thrive by creating some type of spiritual attack against your ability in what you eat in the dream realm. And you got to break that. You know how you know that it was an attack? Because when you break it in the natural, next time you go to sleep, whatever attacked you is now being dethroned, falling, or being destroyed. Spiritual alertness and awareness. But I'm going to come back in the next one to show you even more.